Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Skylila podcast. Today we have Rachael Noble, who is a trauma-informed breathwork facilitator. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Sky.
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about Rachel's story, how she got into breathwork, and exciting news that's coming this week for everyone. She is launching her business, Let It Be Breath. So we can all practice breathwork with Rachel. So Rach, first I wanted to ask, how did you get started? Why did you start practicing breath work?
Yeah, so it really just was by accident. I wasn't searching for it. A friend, I think, just texted me a little breathwork recording. And this is, I want to say it was right before COVID, but I had been experiencing anxiety, or I'd been experiencing anxiety since high school. I was diagnosed with anxiety, and it was one of those things where like I cognitively knew how to get out of like an anxious cycle. I understood where the anxiety was coming from, but there was an extra layer. There was the physical and emotional side of anxiety that I just couldn't hack. I couldn't get rid of it. And so while my brain could rationalize my anxious thoughts, my body was still holding on to it. And that was the thing I just couldn't manage. But I didn't feel like I needed medication. Well, I think medication is beautiful for so many people. I just knew it wasn't for me. I tried a number of modalities. I tried things that were probably not the healthiest things for anxiety.
Yeah.
I tried everything. And then my friend just randomly texted me this breath work link, and I listened to it. I practiced it. I think it was like 10 minutes long. And by the end, that physical feeling of anxiety had fully alleviated. My
Mm.
mind was blown. I couldn't believe it that I was able to do that myself with my breath. And so I started practicing regularly. I signed up for this online platform where there were some recordings I could listen to every week. And then a really good friend of mine started getting certified, and she had to practice breath work for a number of hours. So she practiced on me a couple times. And one of those times, it was just a really beautiful session. And I came out of it just feeling like this is something I want to give back to others as well.
Yeah, I know that's why you do it, is to serve, which is so nice. How do you notice that since you've been practicing, your kind of baseline anxiety has either stayed the same or decreased?
So much lower, so much lower. And that's one of the beautiful things about breath work is the more you practice, and it doesn't have to be, several hours a week. It could be maybe 5 to 10 minutes in the morning for 3 mornings.
Right.
But what you're doing when you practice breath work is you're retraining your brain and your system, your nervous system, what is dangerous slash something that you should be anxious about versus what is slightly stressful and you actually don't need to be anxious about it.
Right.
So if you're being chased by a lion, yeah, you should probably have a high amount of anxiety to get away. But if you're late to a doctor's appointment and you're stuck in traffic, your anxiety doesn't need to be that high. You're safe, you're fine, you're going to be a little late and that's stressful, but your body knows not to release those hormones that make you anxious because
Right.
you've been practicing breath work.
Right. So I think I love what you said about not taking a pill, because a pill is almost just a band-aid on top, where breath work, you're
Mhm.
dealing with the root cause, so you can actually ideally
Yeah.
eliminate it from your mouth,
Yeah.
your life, and not have
Yeah.
to.
And your mouth.
Yeah, that too, all of it. So when did you start practice? How long have you been practicing
Mhm.
before you decided, okay, this is what I want to do with my time and give back to everyone else?
Yeah, I've been practicing for about a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
So it was, yeah, for me, it doesn't feel that long because I'm like, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. But
Oh,
yeah, I was just doing it for about a year and a half. And that's when I had that epiphany of, okay, this is something more than I want to just receive.
hmm. So what does your practice look like?
That's a great question. So it changes, it's fluid. And I think for me, having any sort of wellness routine, it needs to be fluid. I need to have those pillars, but I don't want to be super regimented because that's when I get bored or I get off track. So I would say for breath work in particular, I definitely try to do either like 3 minutes in the morning, or maybe I can dedicate an entire half an hour. Um, I'll wake up, I'll light some candles. I have a whole playlist of music that I like to listen to, and I'll just put my AirPods in, relax on the couch, maybe lay down and just take a breath pattern. I
Yeah.
have a lot of breathwork facilitator friends right now, just because, I've met so many people. And so they they lead online classes or in-person classes. So I also go to those probably once or twice a month, where I'm also guided, because I think it's really important to continue to be guided while you're also a guide.
For everyone.
So yeah, I would say that's kind of my routine, just trying to do it in the morning. Oh, and then also when I'm feeling that anxiety, I'll be in maybe a work meeting, or I'll have a talk that I'm a little nervous to give.
Yeah.
So I'll practice a very gentle breath while I'm in the meeting, so no one knows that I'm doing breath
That
work.
was that
Or
was one of my questions is,
yeah,
or, tips of advice. Say I feel the same anxious if I'm about to give some kind of presentation or something
totally,
involving other people. It's like, okay, well, can't really go sit in meditation and just do this breath work.
totally.
But what's like a subtle kind of nobody knows you're doing breath work? What would that little practice look like?
Yeah. So this is gonna sound so lame, but really doing a very gentle, it's called a halo active, but at the end of the day, it's a really big deep breath. So breathing in through your nose and aiming to fill up your entire lungs. So you can do this slowly, where you're breathing into your nose, you're letting it fill up your lungs, letting your belly expand, and then it goes up to the top of your lungs. And then when your lungs are full, slowly releasing out your mouth. And this is something you can do super subtly. You can be in a meeting. You can't be doing it while you're talking,
Yeah.
but maybe while you're not talking, or maybe while you're driving, very, very gently while you're driving, because you wouldn't want to get lightheaded, or maybe while you're walking your dog, or whatever it is, while you're in movement, maybe cleaning the dishes, filling your lungs up, letting that belly expand. And
Mhm.
what's happening when you do that is your parasympathetic nervous system, the nervous system where you feel really calm, that feeling after a massage or a really delicious meal, that nervous system is hooked up to the lower lobes of your lungs. So when you start breathing in deeply, you are turning on that system, and you're physiologically changing how your body is responding to the outside world.
Fun. I like want to be taking notes right now, but I talking to myself. Sky, don't worry, you can listen to the recording again.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, like say sitting here right now, how would the rest of your body look? Like, could I cross my legs or should I uncross them or does it not matter?
Yeah. I think as long as you are giving your lungs space, so if you're hunched over, you're going to be cutting off your
Mhm.
lung capacity, and you're only going to be able to shallow breathe if you're like, hunched at your desk. So, really, if you could be sitting up straight, shoulders back, that's great. If you want to be lying down, that's also perfect. You can have your legs crossed, you can have your ankles crossed, but hanging. Like, there's so many different ways, but as long as your lungs are in a space to fully receive the oxygen, you're golden.
Okay, nice. Thanks.
Yeah, of
What
course.
does the rest of your wellness routine look like? What else do you incorporate?
Hmm. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm very big into yoga. I did a kick-ass Pilates class last night where I'm so sore. I just try to work out. Like, again, I'm not super regimented. I try to work out at least 4 times a week, whether it's going to the gym, a yoga class, whatever, really tuning into what my body needs.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not really good at pushing through it. Like, if my body's like, I cannot work out today, I'm not going to force it. And then I try to get at least 10,000 steps. And I usually just do that with my dog walks.
Okay. Because I think it's so important, say, when educating people about something specific, say for myself too, people will say, oh, what do you do for your mental health? And it's like, well, it's not just one thing, it's this whole array
Yeah,
of
it's a
puzzle
whole
pieces that work.
ecosystem.
Yeah, it's a whole ecosystem. Um,
Hmm.
so I like to also ask, that's your wellness. What does your sleep and your diet look like as
Oh
well? How
my
do all these
gosh.
pieces work together?
That's a great question. Has always been so important to me. Even in college, when I had friends being like, I need to jam out like an all-nighter, I was like, no, I'm not I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I am my worst version when I do not get good sleep. I
Yeah.
need at least 8 hours. I try to get into bed by 10
Mhm.
and I fall asleep very quickly, so I'll be asleep within
Lucky.
like 10 minutes. Yeah, I feel very blessed.
Lucky.
And then I naturally wake up around 6:37.
Okay.
And so I mean, we have a friend who, Sage, who she says that as long as she gets 10 hours, but that scale can slide anywhere. For
Mhm.
me, my morning will always start at 6:30, so I need to get to sleep
Right.
by 10.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, sleep and then I try not to drink too much. I think for the past year have really been phasing out of alcohol. I love a good glass of wine, don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but just
The girl.
yeah, I have noticed that alcohol has been affecting me differently than it had when I was younger. I have worse hangovers. I also have extreme anxiety after drinking, so I've been so pro anti-anxiety, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's what I
so
mean. That's
that
the whole
yeah,
thing. What's the
yeah,
preventative like medicine for it?
yeah. I mean, I think everyone's so different. And for me, I've become aware that okay, sugar makes me anxious.
Hmm.
Alcohol makes me anxious. Okay, I love sugar. I do like wine. So just being aware that when I do have wine or I do have, a cookie, I'll probably feel a little anxious after. So limiting that, but then also maybe doing a little breath work after, maybe doing some of that gentle breath so that I can enjoy that cookie, I can enjoy that wine
Yeah.
because it's all about balance. And I've lived in a restrictive lifestyle before and it just didn't work for me.
Mhm.
So it's a way for me to not restrict, enjoy all of the things, but also be mindful of
Awareness.
my health. Yeah, my health and my mental health and that awareness. Exactly.
Yeah, if I get sad, my mom will go, "Did you eat sugar? It's the sugar." And I'm like, "You're right. It's sugar. Like it is sugar really emphasizes that mood. So if you start to feel
It
sad,
does.
I think
Yeah.
people don't really recognize as much as we should." But one other question on sleep, what you mentioned, do you notice
Yeah.
your quality of sleep has changed since a regular practice of breath work? What did it look like before?
Yeah.
Look like
It's
now?
funny because I didn't even, it was one of those things I didn't even realize had improved until someone asked me about it a couple weeks ago. And while I am so good at getting to bed and falling asleep quickly, I would wake up probably once or twice in the night, like fully wake up and have to go back to sleep. And I realize I don't do that anymore.
Right.
I, since starting breath work, I fall asleep and I wake up in the morning and it's great. And I feel very energized too in the morning. So my sleep has definitely been better. And if there is a very rare, evening where I can't sleep, doing some gentle breaths to lull me to sleep has helped as well.
Hmm. Do you drink caffeine?
I do. I drink matcha. I don't drink coffee. That will send me to the moon with anxiety. I do not do that.
Yeah, I
So
start to feel that like jitteriness, but I kind of like it, unfortunately.
it's
Feel
it's
pretty.
not even like energy for me to like when I have coffee because I love the taste of coffee. I love it.
Hmm.
And so I'll get decaf sometimes and it does have a little caffeine, but I can manage that. But there's something about the coffee caffeine that, and there is a chemical compound in matcha that coffee doesn't have that eliminates the jitteriness, but
Yeah.
coffee doesn't even energize me. I'll still feel tired, but I'll just be tired and anxious after a cup of coffee. So I'm
So
like,
true.
what's the point? I'm not even getting energized. I don't feel motivated. I'm just not going to drink this anymore.
It's so true. It almost is, you know, stops you from being productive because you're so anxious and like you don't know what to do with yourself that your head is just spinning and it's a downward spiral.
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's still like that physical feeling of anxiety is the thing that gets me the most. And when I'm in that state, I'm like, I just want to like crawl on my skin. I'm like, yeah, I hate this.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about Let It Be Breath. What does it look like? Who's it for? How are
Yeah.
you moving through it? What have you been building?
So Let It Be Breath is built for anyone with high functioning anxiety.
Mhm.
It's the person that goes to work, performs well, or maybe doesn't perform well, but has that anxiety that is hovering within them. And it's a way to help individuals bring breath into their wellness routine.
Right.
So it is an online membership. where members get unlimited group breath work, as well as one-on-one sessions. And my mission is to make breathwork accessible. Right now, it's really expensive to get involved.
Mhm.
Working with someone one-on-one can be $150 to $50 an hour. And I think that's great for some people, and some practitioners should be charging that. But a lot of the people I've been working with are students or, new to their careers, and they also need breath work. So it's really designed for people who don't have 250 lying around for an hour of breath, but
Mm.
do want to receive the benefits of breath and want to be guided, not just listening to a recording. I think the guiding part is really essential, because when you have a guide, they're pouring their energy into you. It's not just words. They are tapped into your energy, and
Yeah.
they're helping you move your energy, and your anxious energy or depressant, whatever it is, they're involved with your experience. And so I really wanted to give people that live experience, um, unlimited breath throughout the month, where they can jump in. They know they're anxious, that they can jump into a class. I'm really excited to see how it goes.
I'm so excited. Well, it's almost therapy too, and I know so many people who would love to go to therapy, but
Mhm.
financially can't afford it. So then they
Yeah.
don't, where it's like, well, then how do you help yourself? How can we make it a better
Yeah,
world?
exactly. It's just another tool to help yourself. Because at the end of the day, all of the breathers are breathing themselves. I'm not forcing their lungs to inhale and
Yeah.
exhale. It is really a tool that you have within yourself.
Yeah.
My hope is that people can use these techniques outside of class. And I've had a couple clients, message me saying that they were getting stressed and they did something that I taught them. And that makes me so happy to see that they're doing it on their own.
Yeah. Well, just with you mentioning, so I've been lucky enough to do a few lessons with Rach so far, and I've noticed it's not just for your current anxiety or stress or trauma.
Yeah,
From two sessions that I did with you, Alexanne, my cousin who passed, was brought up, and it was sort of a bit of a shock where I was like, oh, this is interesting.
yeah,
And then after I realized, wow, that was such a deep level of healing that I didn't even know I needed to go. Like, obviously, I know I'm always
mhm,
healing, but it was sort of like a life hack. Instead of me trying to be like, okay, Sky, what do I need to learn from this experience? You just immediately brought me into that space. I know, I felt like a range of emotions. You could see my energy, which I want you to mention on after the difference. But
yeah,
afterwards, I felt like I just did like a deep clean of my house, like spring cleaning. It felt like this huge weight was lifted off. And I also recognized,
yeah,
oh, okay, there's some stuff here that I didn't realize I should probably go back and sit in a little bit more, where usually I'm
yeah.
like, let's good day, big smile, move on with the day in the best way possible.
Mhm.
It is authentic to me, but that's what I recognized with practicing with you, is wasn't just like, oh, let's just heal, it it was like a window to people. You know how people go, well, I need to deal with stuff, but I don't know what I need to deal with. It's like, well, this is that
Yeah,
door to go. It brings
it
you to
is.
what you need to work on.
Your breath is your portal to some deep stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where the trauma informed lens is so important,
Hmm.
because there are facilitators out there that aren't trauma informed, and they're like, we're going to just breathe. And then someone's back in an extreme childhood trauma, and that can be re traumatizing in itself. So,
Yeah.
by being able to hold the space for someone to explore that past trauma, be in those emotions,
Hmm.
experience those emotions, because your body holds on to emotion.
Yeah.
If, and it sounds like the experience with your cousin, there was a lot of emotions, and there might have been some that weren't resolved, because there's a lot, and you need to go back to work. You need to be with friends and
Hmm.
family, where you can't just break down. Unfortunately, that society we're in, where you can't just have like, you can't cry at work.
Yeah.
Um, so, but those emotions are there, and they need to be seen and explored and felt. Otherwise, they stay in you.
Yeah.
And then you continue building upon them, building upon your life. And I don't want to use you as an example, but let's say
Do.
there's a trauma, and you process some, but not all. and
Mhm.
then you continue to live. And let's say it was a trauma with like a romantic relationship when you were in high school, and now you're in your 30s, and for whatever reason, partners or whatever it is make you extremely angry or agitated, or
So it's
you're
triggered.
really triggered, yeah, triggered or activated. And it's like, okay, that couple's going to therapy to work on why you're activated, but really it has something to do with your partner. It has something to do with that guy you dated in high school and
Yeah.
you never fully healed that trauma. And
Yeah.
so I guess it's like yeah, that's like a good analogy of kind of how all traumas could potentially work in your body.
Yeah.
Um, and how breath can be so beautiful because you get to revisit it in a very, very safe way,
So
explore those emotions. Yeah, safety is the number one thing. You need to go back feeling extremely safe, because
yeah.
if you don't feel safe, you could get re-traumatized and that could be even worse.
Mhm.
So, feeling really safe, exploring as much as you want in that moment. It might take a couple breath sessions, it might take a couple years of breath, but using your breath to go back, visit it, experience, feel,
Mhm.
and with that, you start to heal.
Right. Yeah, well, why I'm so passionate and excited for you and what you're doing is just from that experience with you, I felt so safe. It was like
Mm.
another level of safety that I've never felt before, especially when revisiting a past, traumatizing experience. So, and I'm curious because I know after talking to you, you were like, yeah, I was watching your energy, you left your body,
Yes.
came back. Like, how are you changing your guidance with different people? Like, what do you see on the other side?
Yeah.
Because I know you're not just doing a routine, you're present and you're with it,
Oh,
you're curated towards that specific individual.
yeah, that's a great question. I channel my source with my breath. And
Hmm.
so I will do breath before any guiding. I need to be connected, because when I'm connected, I'm very tuned in with someone else's energy. And I, so for you, your energy was like it was like almost like water hovering above you. And it was like this water that was like going into the sky, but it was like very like, it was like pure love. It's so hard to, because it's not like I can actually see it, but I can see
Yeah,
it. Does
you
that make
feel
sense?
it.
I so feel it, and I so feel when someone else is moving through it.
Hmm.
Um, which it can be a lot sometimes. And so I also need to, while being extremely intertwined with someone else's energy, protect my own.
Right.
And that's definitely a balance. I've definitely had breathers that I have to almost like pull out for a second because it is a lot.
Yeah.
But it's also how I know how to cue them. I know how to tell them to slow down or maybe let out a scream.
Yeah.
Um, for example, I had a breather a couple weeks ago and I was really tuned into her, and all of a sudden I got like my throat hurt and it was really sore, and I knew it wasn't my sore throat. I was
Yeah.
like, I feel so healthy. I didn't have a sore throat. This is her. So I told her, I was like, you need to start like screaming, like let out a gentle like sigh, or like start letting sound come out.
Open that.
And that really helped move that energy that was stuck in her throat chakra.
Cool.
Um, every time that happens, I'm like, whoa, I did that.
Yeah, you're a
I still geek
healer.
out about it. I think it's really, it's crazy. Like after a session, I'll go to my boyfriend and I'll be like, oh my God, guess what happened? I just tuned into her energy and it worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I still kind of like geek myself out. I think this is so cool and so special.
Yeah, and I think you'll always have that kind of excitement and shock almost because each individual
Yeah.
person will probably you'll feel something totally different. Like, I know even when we did that breath session, it wasn't just Rach and I, there was another friend in the room. And when you would say cues, in my head, I was like, I know she's talking to me. Like that one's for me. I could just tell, I could feel, and it opened up. And then it was like, oh, I feel so beautiful and light. And
Yeah.
that was a roller coaster of an experience, but coming out of
Yeah.
it, I don't know how you do it, but I know it's because you're guiding me through. Then it's like you finish on a high almost of like, whew, that was wow, what a
Yeah. Because
wow.
it truly is a journey. So there are journeys and then there are shorter breath sessions, just
Mm.
to clarify for the listeners, because not every single one has to be like this intense
Yeah.
journey. And that's with Let It Be Breath, there's going to be options to go on a journey and like have that experience. And then there's also sessions where you can just kind of work on the stuff that's present now.
Yeah.
But
A
yeah,
couple
with
here and there.
yeah, exactly. They're like shorter, they're punchier, they're to the point, and then you can like go on with your day. But
Right.
journeys, yeah, I always try to end them with this feeling of resolution. And I
Mhm.
can tell when the person has reached that resolution. And then I really gently pull them out of the experience. I'll let them like stay in their natural breath for, 10, 15 minutes, just breathing and listening to music and
Yeah.
coming back to the present. Because sometimes people just shoot off into outer space. They need a while to come back down.
Yeah, so true. So how would you suggest someone starts if they've never done a breath session before? How do you get
Yeah,
started, especially if you're a little bit nervous to, it could be
totally.
intimidating.
Totally. So there's a lot of recordings out there on YouTube. And if you want to do it on your own, I suggest, you know, just listening to an audio. You can just go to YouTube and type in breathwork for 10 minutes. I don't know what will come up. I personally think that signing up for a 30-minute session where
Mhm.
you can talk to the practitioner or talk to me,
Mhm.
we can figure out what do you want to get out of this, what feels good. We can explore some breath patterns, really make sure that this session is for you. It's not just going to be copy and paste, just a general session. It's
Mhm.
something that you feel extremely comfortable in and know that you are safe to stop at any point.
Right.
And I think that level of safety is just so important, especially when you're new, because you don't want to be in a session. I've been in like yoga classes where I'm like, I want to get out of this. I feel so uncomfortable, but then I'm like being yelled at to keep pushing through. And I hate that feeling. And so that's not what it would be with me, at least.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just signing up, having that consultation, doing a little session, seeing how the body adjusts, and then going from there. Really titrate it into the experience, going bit by bit, not just jumping full head into the deep end, I think is really important because you can scare yourself. I've had a lot of friends who started breath work, had a terrible experience, and did do it for many years after because it was scary.
Yeah, it could be, and like you said, a kind of traumatizing experience again.
Yeah, it can be intense.
So what do the memberships look like for these
Yeah.
people?
So there are two memberships. One is just pure group breath work, and it is $35 a month. And there are 4 group breathwork sessions you can join a week. And there's also going to be guests like nutritionists and Reiki masters. And so you get access to all those events as well for free. And then there's one that's $85 a month, and that is everything that I just named, plus a free one-on-one session with
Nice.
me.
Yeah, I'm excited for
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks,
So
Rach. Is there anything else you want to share with everyone? Words of wisdom, favorite quote you live by?
mm, I would say for anyone that's listening and they feel like that their emotions or their mental state, it's not them, it's just a part of them. And you do have the power to change it if you want to. So if you have negative thoughts or you have a little bit of anxiety or depression, that's just a part of you and it gets to be there and it's beautiful, but you also get to shift out of it. And there are tools and people to help you to shift out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what you said because I did notice in my session with you, there was a choice. It was like, okay, I could do some breathing or I could do some breathing and like
Yeah.
really just get in there, like surrender to whatever's come up. But it's a bit of effort, right? You do have to put into that breath work to get the most out of it.
It is work. It is work, but there are gentle breath. It doesn't have to be intense. Intensity does not equal transformation.
Yes.
If you are in a place where you're in a breath session and you just don't have it in you to go hard,
Yeah.
the gentle ones are also really good, really beneficial.
Yeah.
So I never want someone to walk away from experience being like, I didn't do it right.
Yeah, no,
If
I
you're
think
breathing, you're doing it right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you can choose how deep or how gentle
Yeah.
you want to go that day.
You can change it throughout the session. You can go hard at first, then softer, and then back into going hard. Like it really is. Yeah. your journey.
Just let it
People
be.
who do breathe harder, yeah, just let it be, breath. I was actually at your house when I thought of the name, so that's perfect, full circle.
Yay! I'm so grateful that I could be a part of this journey with you. And thank you for giving your
Thank
time,
you.
energy, and your love and your passion to the world. I really think everyone will, I know they'll benefit because if I've benefited, why not everyone else? So I'm excited to
Yeah. Oh, thank you for having me. It was so wonderful chatting about this.
So where can everyone find you?
My Instagram handle is letitbe.breath,
Mhm.
and my website is www.letitbebreath.com.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if
Thank
anyone has any questions, send me a DM. I'm pretty responsive.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you. I love you. I'm so excited to be practicing with you for the next few months at least. It's gonna be great, and I'm excited to see the transformation for myself and you.
Oh my
So
gosh, thank you. Yeah.
love you.
Mwah. Love you too. Thank you so much.